How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
And I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review. We're going to go spoiler-free on Knives Out 2.
Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery.
Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery. Pratik, what did you think of this movie?
I loved it. I had a blast.
For context, you love the first Knives Out.
I love the first
I love the first Knives
Yeah.
Out. I think we both give it around a 10. It's pretty good. 9 or 10, it's great.
I don't remember what score I gave it, but it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I think this is at a similar level to that. I think your mileage may vary, but it's in the same ballpark. Let's put it that way.
You're right. It's in the same ballpark enough for me. Like, it's close enough to the first Knives Out where I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. I think for a lot of reasons, some people may prefer one over the other.
There's a big reason for me.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say it. It's the cast. I felt like this cast, the ensemble cast, it's not the actors. Like, when I heard you're getting Catherine Hahn, Kate Hudson, all these people, I'm like, okay, this is going to be really awesome. I feel they don't use a lot of these actors to their potential. They don't use their strengths. Rian Johnson in particular, doesn't use like Catherine Hahn is funny, and I don't think she had one moment in here where I laughed. You know what I mean? I just felt like a lot of these surrounding characters, other than maybe Edward Norton, and I like Janelle Monáe a lot, and the star.
I will say, getting to Daniel Craig.
Sure.
I think in the first Knives Out movie, he almost he felt like he was in a different movie than everyone else at parts. Like, I remember us talking about it being like, he's kind of cartoony in this. And I think in this one, he better fits the movie that's there. Like, he didn't jump off as this extra cartoony character.
He didn't jump off as extra cartoony, but he did stand out for sure as when he's on screen, I'm more engaged in what's happening in this movie. So,
but I think that's kind of sort of a difference between the first Knives Out movie. But yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I asked you this off camera, if you were going to see a sequel to the first Knives Out movie with that cast or a sequel with this cast, and you said you'd prefer either one, they'd be fine, right?
I'd said it's about the same. If you gave me those two options and said, or we're going to do a third one with a completely different cast and it's just Daniel Craig again, I'd be like, sign me up for that. That's the one I want.
And that's fear.
The one I'm getting.
I think this movie put a fear in my head now that the next Knives Out movie, I don't know that Rian Johnson is going to deliver. I don't know that he can make characters as great as he did in the first Knives Out. Because I loved, while there's a difference between those characters, all of these characters are unlikable, right? They're all unlikable characters, but they're good characters. Like Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis in the last one, I was interested in their story and what was happening with them. With all of these characters, excluding Janelle Monáe, and Edward Norton, I'll say, I could care less about Dave Bautista. Woof.
You hate Dave Bautista.
I don't like Dave Bautista, but Blade Runner 2049, one of my favorite movies. They use him sparingly.
He has 2 seconds of screen time in that.
Chef's kiss is what I call that.
You hate him.
Every time he would have a line, he'd get 2 words of dialogue in and they would cut away from his face because this man can't act. He can't act, dude. I'm sorry. I hope he gets better. John Cena got better. The Rock got better. I think Bautista can get better if he sticks at this. But he was great as Drax the first time. What happened?
You hated that too.
I liked him the first time. When he's doing that stuff, that was great. Anyway, this isn't gonna be. I'm not gonna turn this into a Dave Bautista hate fest because
too late.
His character isn't as important to everything as they could have made it. So I'm okay.
I think what it is I think in many ways I've looked at the first Knives Out movie, and I think I'm lower on those characters than you are. I think that to a certain extent, a lot of those characters were characters of a rich family. And I think in this one, we get more characters of the archetypes that these actors are portraying.
Yeah.
So I thought it fit fairly well. Where I think that what we're missing in this is there's no Chris Evans type character in this.
I would go a step further. There's no characters. Yeah. There's maybe one character that has a standout moment. All of these characters, this movie was way less interested in being an ensemble piece. Like when you watch Avengers or something like the first one, Black Widow has a great moment, and Iron Man has a great moment, and Cap has a great moment. In this, nobody has their moment. Nobody has the spotlight
other than Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig and maybe one other character, right? But
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the biggest letdown for me. I didn't have the fear in my head that, because this is a new cast, it's not going to be as good as the last one. I had full faith that Rian Johnson was going to deliver these characters as well as he did the last ones. And I just I didn't get that.
With all of that said, what I do think comes across in that in this movie
Sure.
is I do think these actors are having fun
Yeah.
with the role.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the fun jumps off the screen
Yeah.
in a way where like it's fun without being like, we're not talking Fast and Furious like dumb fun, but like they're having fun and you're having fun watching them.
Are those fun? Anyway,
Different topic, different time. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of fun in this movie. I think there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of distractions. I think the mystery itself is fairly engaging
Yeah.
for that reason.
the strength of this movie, other than Benoit Blanc, is the story and just like the twists and turns.
Yeah.
Because that's what the first Knives Out did really well, other
Yeah.
than they balanced it with a really great ensemble cast. This was more so just like focused on the twists and turns, giving you so many options as to what could happen, that anything could happen. And, when it got to the ending, I wasn't huge on the ending. I really enjoyed this movie up until the ending. But
I'm with you. I think I had this movie much higher till the ending. It comes across without saying anything about it. It comes across a little ham-fisted. It's
Yeah.
a little over the
and also
over
just
the
like,
top. Yeah.
why? Like, why would you do this?
That's a spoiler discussion
Yeah.
because you and I have differing opinions on that. But I do think it almost felt like they weren't quite sure how to end the movie, and so like ended it in this particular way. I understand the messaging that Rian Johnson is going for, but
The messages and everything in this movie are fine. The symbolism, all the messaging, the feel of this movie are great.
Yeah, I don't think the end scene quite landed perfectly, but all of that aside, I would absolutely watch this again. I thought it was so much fun, and I thought it was a well-written mystery. I'm here for it. I'm
gonna watch it again for anything, I want to like the ending more, and I'm hoping if I watch it again, it won't hit as hard. Like
Sure.
it won't be as bad for me because I know it's coming now.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll say this: as much as I enjoy this, I am less excited now for another Knives Out movie. Does that make sense? But at the same time, like Benoit Blanc, what's his name? Daniel Craig was so good. Like he's used kind of sparingly in the beginning of the movie, and then he's more in it throughout like the end of first act and the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And when that first act, while it moves really fast,
We have different definitions of that first act, but anyway, go on.
while I feel like that first act moves very fast, I kept finding myself like, okay, let's get to Benoit Blanc, because when he's on screen, they just kind of take him away. I'm like, no, like these aren't real characters here. That's a character that is clearly fleshed out enough,
Which again is not something you would have said after the first Knives Out movie.
True.
Yeah.
But that's because I liked all of the characters in the first Knives Out movie. Now it's like there's one element of that in here, and it's like, okay. And not to say that I didn't like again, Janelle Monáe, great. Leslie Odom Jr. could have been anybody. Catherine Hahn could have been anybody. The girl who plays Whiskey, the girl who plays Peg, could have been anybody.
I think if anything, what you're getting at here is it does feel like some of the cast was underused.
Underused for sure. Yeah.
But with that said, I think that's more on us as people that know what this cast is capable of.
But we also know
and
what
not
Rian
the actual,
Johnson is capable of with an all-star cast. Rian Johnson can deliver.
And see, I think this movie delivered. I think it's excellent.
He still delivered a good movie. I don't think he delivered a good ensemble piece, if that makes sense.
But I think at the end of the day, like your job
If
is
the
delivering
movie's good, then
yeah, like you're looking at it and going, this cast is capable of more, and you're right. But what they've delivered was a great movie.
It's like the bare minimum Knives Out. I'll give it that. Like it's like the bare minimum of what you could do with an ensemble. Like he didn't ruin anything by any means. Like I wasn't like, oh, these characters are terrible, but they're not good characters and they're not fleshed out characters. I don't mean good like well intentioned. They're just not well written, not very well written characters. For someone like Rian Johnson, who character is so big with him, when I think of Rian Johnson and his movies, I feel like his characters, he gives so much to them. This, I don't know. I didn't feel that way.
Again, I still think it's in the same ballpark as the first Knives Out movie. I don't know.
Tone wise, yes, and similarly to the first Knives Out,
I still think the characters too. Like you think that the ones in the first movie are a lot deeper than I do, and we're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
I'm not saying that they're not stereotypes of what they are, but they felt more real. These feel like more stereotypes. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
doesn't.
Like straight up stereotypes. The other ones they're stereotypes, but they didn't, just because they're labeled. Like these people may as well have all been walking around silent with a sticker on their head of what they are. And in the first Knives Out, they all tell you and show you who they are in a much better way. I felt personally.
All right, you want to score it?
I'm leaning towards a 7. I'm thinking 7. You could if I watch it again and the ending doesn't bother me as much, it'd be more of an 8. But it's definitely not the masterpiece that the first Knives Out is. It's in the field. It's in the field of the ballpark. It's near it's in the parking lot of the ballpark. It's close. It's close.
Yeah, I'm waffling between a 9 and an 8 and a 9. Man, it's one of those where, like, from an enjoyment level, it's an absolute 10. Little things. There's a couple little things. I think the ending such. I'm gonna go with an 8, but
Was it paced well for you?
Paced excellently. Okay. Yeah. Again, we disagree on where the first act is, because you're like, this is the first act, and I'm like, that's halfway into the movie.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was paced really well. It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours at all.
I liked the framing of it. I liked how everything played out. It's just, some of the characters.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with an 8, but I feel like I'm gonna look back and regret not
giving this like a Just give it a 9. Why not? I give it a 7. Come on.
We're going 8. We're going 8. Like,
hold them to it. 8.
It's an 8.
Can't change it at the end of the year if it's on your list. No.
All right. Anything else?
That being said, do you think this makes your top 10?
No. Oh, top 10, yes. Top 10 for sure.
Top 5, not sure.
Top 5, no. I've already put it on my list.
Yeah,
it's not in the top 5, but it's right there. And if I watch it again and I watch some of the other movies that are slightly above it, I could definitely shuffle my list and get it there.
I haven't put it on my list
knocking
yet.
on the door of top 5 for sure.
Okay. I got to see it again. And, you guys will get a chance to see it again. It's coming out 23rd? December
23rd on Netflix. Or if you're watching this on Tuesday,
yeah, you can see it today. You can go see it today.
You can see it.
That being said, though, did you feel like you needed to see it in theaters? Or like if it would have came out on Netflix today, you would have been like, oh, I wish I would have seen it on Netflix?
I didn't need to see it in theaters, but there's some movies where it feels like you're watching a movie with a capital M, and I think this is one of them. I don't know exactly what it is, because it's not like there's some great it's spectacle, or like, oh man,
it's not the spectacle of it all. It's not like it's aesthetically nice, but it's not like the cinematography is incredible. I think it's more so the audience makes the movie a little bit better if you see it with like an audience. But
I just think this feels like a movie that was made for theaters. Like, regardless, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give it that. This didn't feel like a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
so it was very weird seeing the Netflix end on the big screen. But yeah,
very very odd. All right, you want to take us out?
Sure. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. I think on Thursday. We have Thursday, Friday. We've got this week.
This week.
We'll see you later this week for a Fabelmans review. Hopefully that's better.
Fingers crossed. All right, we'll see you guys.